Last time, we opened the doors to Strixhaven, a place of powerful magic, hidden dangers, and secrets waiting to be uncovered. Welcome back, Maladogs, and today we'll be reading Chapter 1 of Strixhaven, Omens of Chaos. Whether you're here for the lore, the atmosphere, or wanting to get lost in the magic for a while, you are in the right place. So, get comfy, open your mind, and let the magic take over. Chapter 1. Brokers and Bargains. Blue, watch yourself! The shout comes, a bare breath before the sound of crumbling masonry. Eula Blue, unwilling clean-up worker and self-trained shield mage, throws her hands over her head, a dome of pale, misty light forming around them as the rest of her team presses in beside her. This has happened often enough that they've learned the safest place to be during a collapse is close to Eula as possible. The bricks raining down from above hit her shield and bounce harmlessly off, clattering to the pavement. The impacts stop. Eula holds the shield, watching the sky until she's sure the collapse has finished, then releases it, lowering her hands at the same time, sending the last of the dust and grit to join the rest. Her foreman is already striding towards her. He's a big, barrel-chested ogre, a riveteer by birth and allegiance, and he was openly dubious about allowing her to join the clean-up crews after the invasion. What good is some soft-handed little wannabe obscura going to do? He asked, and the other recruits had laughed. And any chance Eula would have been willing to try looking for another job had died. It was clean-up or nothing. Not that she likes the work. If she's being honest with herself, she hates it. It's all hot, muggy caldera air and physical effort, and tears in her clothes that she can't afford to have properly mended. But the work needs to be done, and her family needs the money, and so here she is. The foreman waits until he's only a few feet away. The rest of her crew already back to work collecting broken glass and shards of Phyrexian exoskeletons from the street around them. Elias is picking up the bricks that fell on them. They'll leave this stretch of New Capenna better off than they found it if it kills them. And based off what just happened, it still might. Blue, says the foreman brusquely. You think about my offer? Yes, sir. Make a choice yet? Eula composes her face. She needs this job, at least until she can save enough to hire a private tutor. There's always work to be done in New Capenna, but if you don't belong in one of the 5 families, there is a thing much worse than cleaning up the streets. She's lucky to get this position, and she's managed it only because the foreman's sister was a friend of her brother's when they were her age. That tenuous connection got her onto the crew when the foreman would have preferred another riveteer. Of course, the riveteers don't tend to produce shield mages, and her talents have saved her co-workers often enough to attract attention that she wasn't necessarily looking for. I'm still discussing it with my parents, she says, as neutrally as she can. Not neutrally enough, the foreman frowns. This is a big opportunity, you know. Could open a lot of doors for you. I'm aware, sir. They might not be the doors you're hoping for, but with Park Heights gone, I don't know the Obscura will be opening their doors anytime soon. You might make a name for yourself among the work crews if you wanted to get serious about this. I know, sir. Thank you, sir. The foreman looks at her carefully, but she controls her face, refusing to let her true feelings show. She did her primary schooling in Park Heights, at the best elevator school her parents could buy her way into. She should be halfway through her first year of university right now, learning how to bend the law to her own ends, courted by the brokers and the obscura alike. Instead, she's here, cleaning up the wreckage of the campus she'd been dreaming of for most of her life. This isn't what she wanted. This isn't the way it's supposed to be. This isn't right. The whistle blows, signalling shift change. With this many workers in need of a paycheck, there's no overtime available for anyone. Eula trades neutrally for a bright smile, tipping her cap at the foreman before she says, "I'll see you tomorrow, sir." And she's off and running. He pushes his own cap back as he watches her go, and he doesn't try to call her back. She's done her hours, she'll draw her pay, and if she doesn't want to go the extra mile, that's no skin off his nose. It's her family that needs the money, not his. There's always another pair of hands in New Capenna. Eula puts his offer out of her mind as she runs. She can't delay him forever, but she can have tonight. And the days since the school fell have taught her that time is the dearest coin there is. Once it's spent, it's gone, and even the obscura can't snatch it back for you. She knows she's the best shield mage on the work crews, which is easy enough when you're the only shield mage on the work crews. Most of the shield mages in the city belong to the brokers, and they're too important to waste their time on petty make work and physical labour. That's the future her father wants for her, whereas she wants to join the obscura in their dazzling dens of blackmail and illusion. She's not your standard obscura, but a shield mage is welcome anywhere. That's why the Riveteers are willing to offer her a formal apprenticeship with their family. They need her, and she needs them, and it could be so easy. All she has to do is say yes. They'll give her more hours, more responsibilities, and shining gold chains of admission to the family at the end of it all. If she becomes a Riveteer, she can grant her family the stability they lost when Park Heights fell. She can save them. She can give them security, authority, respectability, all the things Phyrexia took away. And all she has to give up is her own future. Not that her future has ever been her own. The brokers have never offered her father membership, but he's always been their man, and he's all but promised her to them. If she mastered her magic well enough, her mother's side of the family used to work for the Cabaretti. Most of them died with their masters when Park Heights fell. And here's Eula, dreaming of the obscura and knowing that she'll never have the attention the way she wants it, the way she needs it. She moves fleetly through the caldera, the lowest level of New Capenna, where the Riveteers hold sway, and the product of their endless industry are never far away. Before the invasion, Eula had only ever come to this low on dares and bets. She'd been a true child of the Mazzios, eyes fixed firmly on Park Heights, and she'd be sure nothing was going to stop her upward climb. There was no force in New Capenna that could contain Eula Blue. Well, that had turned out to be true. There was no force in New Capenna, but there were forces outside it that didn't care about her dreams or aspirations, and Phyrexia had brought her hopes of education crashing down to earth, tangling in the wreckage of the school where she'd been intending to craft her future. Now, here she is, one more child of the Caldera gutters, caught between a lifetime of hard labour and preserving her slim chance at an escape in exchange for locking her entire family into the same fate. She's 19. Oh, this shouldn't be on her shoulders. So Eula runs, temporarily free, racing towards an uncertain future. Before Park Heights fell, and took both her family's fortunes and their neighbourhood tumbling down with it, Eula knew exactly how her life was going to go. Now, everything is uncertain and she hates it, almost as much as she hates the tiny apartment she shares with her parents and younger siblings, who are young enough that they still view their new lives in Caldera as a long vacation from the expectations of the upper city, rather than a sudden and brutal limitation of their futures. Her older brother has his own place in the Riveteer neighbourhood, more permanent, more secure, but the apartment she shares with the rest of the family is safe and quiet enough that Eula can sleep at night, and she wants to be grateful for that. She just doesn't know how. Resting her backside against the silvered stairway rail, she half slides, half rides it to the bottom of the granite stairs and trots down the last short block between her and home, slowing as she nears the door. She hates her job. She hates coming home almost as much. She never wanted to be an unhappy person, but she is now because she hates it here. Eula Blue is trapped. She unlocks the door, no open doors this deep into the Caldera, and lets herself into the crammed front room, packed with second-hand furniture and children's toys. The air smells, as it always, like boiled vegetables and whatever Mum's roasting for dinner. She can't think about food yet. She never can before she gets a shower. All it does is turn her stomach. Eula? Her father's voice comes from the narrow doorway connecting the front room and the kitchen. Is that you? Yes, Dad, it's me. Who else would it be? Unless someone's lost a key. Everyone else who lives here should be home by now. Can you come in here? He sounds uncharacteristically serious. Eula frowns as she moves towards his voice, wiping her grimy hands on her jacket. Maybe something happened to Alton. He doesn't have a physical presence or strength of most Riveteers he works with, and she worries about him every time he goes on a job site. No point in borrowing trouble. Eula takes a deep breath, lifts her chin, and steps into the kitchen. The whole family is there, save for Alton, which just makes her fear she's trying hard to suppress spike harder. The kids have bowls of cut fruits distracting them, and her parents sit either side of the small breakfast table, her mother looking worn out and worried, her father holding a letter in his hands. Eula's eyes go to it immediately. The paper is thick and looks expensive, with the texture that it comes only from money. She doesn't recognise the seal at the top, but it looks expensive, like someone invested in making sure it would be identifiable from a distance. What's that? She asks, and her voice is too loud for the space, and she can't pull it back. Eula, says her father, lowering the letter. This came for you. Anger flares atop fascination. It's not enough that she's been forced into a small room with two younger siblings, lost her neighbourhood and her privacy and her future, but now they're opening her mail. She forces it back. They mean well. She knows they mean well. They're just not used to living on top of one another like this. Hopefully, they never will be. Why did you open it? She asks, as politely as she can. It was delivered by the new courier service, the one that brings messages through the omen paths, he says. We couldn't imagine what someone off-plane might have wanted with you, so we felt it was necessary to see for ourselves. Depending on when the mail arrived, they would have needed to wait only a few hours for her to get home. They didn't need to open something addressed to her. She wants to hold on to the anger over the invitation of her privacy, but in the end, curiosity is stronger, and the omen paths are new enough to be sources of endless curiosity. You knew my shift was almost over. You could have waited till I got home. I'm sorry we didn't. It's a rare admission from her father that he was wrong about something, and so she settles with irritation soothed by novelty. We just didn't know you knew anyone off-plane, adds her mother uncomfortably. When the invitation tore through the membrane dividing Capenna from the rest of the multiverse, it left scars. Tunnels of a sort. Bored through the fabric of reality itself, connecting the worlds in a way they had never been connected before. Eula has already known Capenna is a plane, one of many scattered across the near-infinite multiverse. Wrapping your mind around the true nature of reality is one of the first challenges of a magical education, and the people who couldn't manage it didn't tend to last long in their classes. But despite all this, the Omen paths had been a shock. They made the multiverse seem small and accessible. In a way, it's never been before. Trading some of its grandeur for the hope that maybe someday, even people like her will be able to reach out and touch other worlds. She's considered buying a ticket through one of the Omen paths before, and going to see her future in a plane that might be able to put her talents to better use than a work crew, but she's never been willing to take that leap of commitment and to try. She certainly hasn't gone looking for an off-plane pen pal, and now her mother is looking at her like she's been hiding something, and she doesn't know what to do about it. This isn't something she can cast a shield against. The silence in the kitchen grows cold and heavy until she turns her attention back to her father. "What is it?" she blurts, desperate for anything to break the silence. "It's an invitation," he replies. "To what?" "To a school," says her mother. "A place called Strixhaven, on a plane called Arcavios. They teach wizards there." Eula's heart leaps in her chest, choking her with hope and wanting so pure, like it's sunlight in her veins, like sipping halo at a year's turning party, and knowing the whole world is at your fingertips. She forces it down, though not quite letting herself embrace it, and asks, "Oh?" "Yes," says her father. "I don't know how they heard about you." He pauses meaningfully, giving her the opportunity to confess to sending in an application, to inviting their attention. She doesn't say anything, she didn't do it, and protesting her innocence will only make her look guilty. But they did, and they'd like to offer you a place in their incoming class. Tuition and supplies fully covered, although we can't afford to pay the extra fee for a private room. They included a ticket through the Omen Path network to Arcavios, in case you wanted to accept the place. "I do," she says without thinking, taking half a step forward, already reaching for the letter. Her father twitches it away. "I don't know that we want to let you go off to school." "Oh, I don't know if we want to let you go to school off-plane," he says. "How will you learn to be a proper Capennan law mage if you're learning other worlds' laws?" "I'm a fully trained shield mage, you know. The brokers will teach me the laws," she says. "They still have people for that. Even if we've lost Wizards College, I can do it." "So you still want to be a broker?" There's a hard edge in his voice, one she understands better than she wants to. Eula swallows. "Yes, sir," she replies. It's all he's ever wanted for her. She can learn to want it for herself, the way he needs her to, even if she knows she will be happy among the Obscura. Even if she wants to sit at Raphael's feet and listen to everything the ancient seer has to teach her. She can put her own desires aside for the sake of the family, but her father isn't thinking about the Obscura at all, or Eula's oft-derided ambitions. "You haven't decided you'd rather be a riveteer workhand for the rest of your life?" he asks. Eula recalls, "No, sir. I'm not working clean up for the money to help this family. Not because I don't want to. They'll get by just fine without me. And if I go to this school, I'll get to learn. That's all I've ever wanted." Fear strikes then, sharp and biting. Maybe he's asking all these questions because they can't get by without the money she's been bringing in. Maybe he's not going to let her go. This school is not something we have any information about. It's not something I've ever heard before, and the things being what they are, it's entirely possible the brokers don't have any information about this either. Yes, sir, she says automatically. Her father nods, frowning to himself. So any information you could gather would be something new, something valuable. Sir? You go off to this school if they're so eager to pay your way. You'll learn everything they have to teach you and everything they don't intend to teach you. And you'll bring that all back here to New Capenna, to your family, to the family. It's the same word. The way he stresses it the second time, he says it turns into something entirely, something else entirely. Eula swallows. She wants to belong to a family, even if she doesn't agree with her father about which would be the best fit for her. Joining one of the 5 families and having access to their resources and protection is what every citizen of New Capenna dreams of. It's what she's been working towards since the first time she managed to summon a weak shield, barely strong enough to stop a soap bubble. It's what she thought she lost when Park Heights fell. And now it's possible again. All she can think of is, I'm going to school. I'm going through an omen path to a different world, and I'm going to a real school where they'll teach me all the magic I want to know. I'm going to school. She feels like she's walking on air as she follows her mother out of the kitchen and through the small apartment to her room. You leave tomorrow, her mother says, voice clearer now that they're alone. She always sounds more sure of herself when her husband isn't in the room. We have to pack. Yes, Mama, says Eula, and she smiles at her mother, gets the carpet bag from the closet. They begin packing her scant belongings, and the works crew has never been further away. She's leaving. She's on her way into the future. She's going to school. And that's where we'll leave things for today. If you've enjoyed this chapter of Strixhaven Omens of Chaos, or you just want to join Eula on her journey through Strixhaven, then make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss the next chapter. And comment below whether you think Eula will join Brokers or whether she'll join the Obscura in the end as well. I will see you next time for the next chapter, and until then, stay curious and keep gathering that magic.